26th of January, Elon Musk goes on Twitter and denies that he's raising capital for XAI. Why would the world's richest man need $6 billion? This has to be fake media, right? And then today we read that XAI raised $6 billion to develop artificial intelligence. Why would the world's richest man need $6 billion while he's worth 200?
The richest person with a fortune of $189.7 billion.
Let's rewind. X is not raising capital, and I have no conversation with anyone in this regard. I must be seeing things, cause if I can read, and I think I can, it says he just raised $6 billion. I swear to God, Elon is not a businessman. He is a politician.
Well, I'm not a crook.
Cause nobody's lies this much. And what does Elon think about the fake media that's asking him questions?
Hi Elon, it's Priya Srivastava from Business Insider. Taking into Tesla, Tesla's had a bumpy few months looking at flagging sales at home, stock market decline, layoffs. When you look back, are there any things...
We can stop the question right now because I don't think Business Insider is a real publication.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next question.
All right, thank you.
So next question, number
I
4.
wonder why he thinks Business Insider is not a real publication. Is it because of these articles? Tesla could plunge 91%. Elon's self-driving project is a road to nowhere.
Well, I'm not a crook.
World richest man is a bullshit artist, just like a politician. This is what Elon and politicians do. They say one thing and do the exact opposite. They are very sneaky.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
This guy has taken so much money from the government. He's got so many subsidies, and it's never enough. Now he needs another 6 billion. For what? Another fake project?
Remember Hyperloop?
This is Elon speaking.
Welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
When you look back, are there any things...
We can stop the question right now because I don't think Business Insider is a real publication.
Well, I'm not a crook.
So here he is saying that the worst critics can remain on Twitter. And then he blocks them. Huh, isn't that funny?
I don't think Business Insider is a real publication.
It's like these two people are the exact same person. Say one thing, but do the opposite.
And we are going to drain the swamp.
But that's not true. He made government bigger. And every single one I could see, there were more employees after his presidency than before.
But Trump increased spending before COVID too. He even bragged about it.
$2.5 billion, $3 billion, $50 billion. We've spent $2.5 trillion.
Question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you stay categorical?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you stay categorical?
We can stop the question right now because I don't think Business Insider is a real publication.
And then we have Javier Milei, who cut government spending first day in office. So what else did he do?
Moving to Argentina's growing economic crisis, around 15,000 government employees have lost their job in the South American country.
And he reduced the inflation from 300% down to 50%, something I predicted back in 2013.
And now, incredibly, Ralph, there are reports that he has just overseen the nation's first monthly budget surplus in over a decade.
So this legend made the budget go in surplus in a decade, something they said was impossible. Impossible! Javier is truly making Argentina great again, and not like Trump.
Lobbyists and special interests.
And you want to get rid of all of that?
I don't like it.
Access and favors were sold for cash. It's called pay for play.
Trump said all the right things, but he did nothing of it. He didn't cut government spending.
System that benefits consultants and lobbyists. The consultants that suck up all that money, oh, they suck it up there so good. $3 billion, $50 billion. We've spent $2.5 trillion. I will tell you that the consultants are rich people.
Is the president concerned that major corporations were giving money to somebody very close to him at a time when they had business before the federal government?
I haven't heard the president express any specific concern.
And in 2024, I see Trump hanging out with Javier Milei. Javier is against tariffs. He's for a small government, low taxes, free market and trade, and people to live peacefully and do business. We all know that the American government has an insane amount of debt. That's why they need to cut spending and balance the freaking budget. Here is Michael Burry explaining exactly how much money the American government is overspending.
As citizens of these United States, we should carefully consider what 1 trillion means. All personal income taxes collected in the US in a year do not add up to $1 trillion. By 2020, interest expense on our national debt could very well exceed $1 trillion.
So the interest on the debt is more than all personal taxes collected in a year. It is truly mind-blowing.
When you consider our $1.7 trillion deficit, consider we really only take in a little over the Treasury's inlays are only a little over $2 trillion. It's quite a loss margin.
So the government collects less than 1 trillion, but it spends 1.7 trillion. So it spends twice as much as it's making. So raising taxes won't help.
2 trillion also happens to be a little less than the amount of bank and government debt now held at our overly bloated Fed. 2 trillion seconds is 64,000 years.
64,000 years. It's truly mind-blowing. And Trump was bragging about how he spent over 2 trillion.
Trump increased spending before COVID too. He even bragged about it.
$2.5 billion, $3 billion, $50 billion. We've spent $2.5 trillion.
So he spent twice multiplied with 64,000 years. 2.5 trillion.
And what's minimum wage again? Our country's math is scary big, but even more scary is that it simply does not work. Speaking of math not working, how many of you are checking that math? Pretty sure 64,000 years. So, arguments on blooming economic recovery must be considered alongside the fact that all this debt and all the money being printed is very much a real bill, a real tax on our future. It's debtor's prison for our children. It has not yet come due today except for savers and those on a fixed income.
Because inflation is making them poorer.
As such, I recommend sober analysis on the part of the individual. This is paramount. We must remember that entire societies can and do follow the wrong path for a very long time. They do run aground. And there's nothing wrong with breaking from the social norm to ensure good outcomes. Legacies are a terrible and sometimes fatal burden in a rapidly changing world, and common sense must rule when it comes to career paths and life choices. Though the situation seems to call for it, it is not a time for a responsible individual to tolerate any level of blind faith directed toward any man or woman. It is absolutely not a time to follow. So all that said, I might recommend opening a bank account in Canada.
But cutting government spending isn't easy. You will get a lot of government employees protesting against it, but you have to do it. Like you having a household that is in debt every single month. You can't keep going on like that. You have to reduce your spending and balance your family budget. Right? Right. This is very simple. So I hope Trump does it this time around, or whoever wins the election. Because the American people needs it, and I'm always for the people. And I'm not for a guy who spends government monies on phantom projects. Here's a brilliant article written by Business Insider. As of 2015, Tesla has sold 570 million environmental credits to competitors per a federal mandate. Tax credits for consumers helped them also sell more cars. The Energy Department loaned Tesla 465 million in 2010. And what does Muskie Boy think about subsidies?
There's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
And then he took 17 million in federal charging grants.
Okay, all right.
I'm literally saying get rid of all subsidies.
All subsidies?
And
but also for oil and gas.
Nevada provides $1.3 billion in tax breaks and other incentives for the new Tesla Gigafactory in 2014. And then SolarCity received $497.5 million.
Literally saying, get rid of all subsidies.
Then he sucks off the government for $2.9 billion contract. No wonder Elon doesn't like Business Insider. An additional $653 million contract with US Air Force in 2020.
I don't think Business Insider is a real publication. I'm in favor of deleting subsidies. I mean, when we started Tesla, there were no EV subsidies at all, and gasoline was super cheap. We did not anticipate any subsidies. That came later, and that came the $7,500 tax credit came as a result not of Tesla activity, but of General Motors.
Right, it was General Motors, it wasn't Tesla. But Musk, what about the SolarCity subsidies? Did you forget about them?
Yeah, just
what about the battery swap technology? So if Trump wants to drain the swamp, he can start with Musk.
Government is for sale. Our government is for sale. By a crooked person.
This is the opposite of draining the swamp.
The swampiest swamp we've ever seen.
The swampiest of swampy things to do.
The swampiest behavior. The biggest swamp monster.
They're not draining the swamp. They're pumping in the pond scum.
It reeks of swamp gas.
You know, when I first heard that term, I hated it. I said, oh, that's so hokey.
I'm embarrassed to say it.
I said, all right, I'll try it. So like a month ago, I said, drain the swamp.
No more take advantage of the American people from my own pocket. Donald Trump doesn't need that. He's plenty rich.
So dear American people, if you wonder where your money went, government spent it on a bunch of wars and giving subsidies left and right to everybody. Why are we subsidizing gas and oil? Makes no sense. We should end all subsidies. Zero. Mises wrote about subsidies long time ago. It's a tool by politicians to bribe the voters. This is what government subsidies got us. A bunch of empty promises.
These numbers sound nutty, but they're real. 620 mile range, that's a 1,000 kilometer range. This will be the first time an electric vehicle breaks 1,000 kilometers. A production electric vehicle will travel more than 1,000 kilometers in a single charge at highway speed.
End of next year, self-driving will encompass essentially all modes of driving and be at least 100 to 200% safer than a person by the end of next year.
Do you remember this video from 2016? Tesla released it to promote the self-driving technology it was developing. Well, now it appears that the video was a sham.
Since I don't receive subsidies like Mr. Musk, maybe you can help me out by supporting the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.